Hi, good morning. It's Councillor Glen, and it is Saturday. I believe it's September 18th today. I'm at Traditions Park. No special reason. I just haven't done an update video from this end of the community before. This is the far southwest part of Stittsville. Traditions Park is kind of along a pathway that runs from Westridge Drive to Dalewood. So a nice little park, and there's a lot of nice pathways here in this neighborhood if you're looking for some place to explore. I have a bunch of updates, things going on, things that have happened this week, things that will be happening in the next week or two. So let's get started. First of all, Monday is federal election day. I'm not going to get into it all, anything partisan or talk about who you should vote for. I just really want to encourage you to vote. I understand that 48% of people in Stittsville have already voted in some of the advance polls, so that's a really good sign in terms of voter turnout. It's probably one of the best in the city at this point. When you are going out to vote, there's a chance that your voting location may be at a local school. So I have a tip for you, which is don't go to that polling station during the morning drop-off or the afternoon pickup for kids. You're going to run into a lot of traffic and congestion and parking issues and everything. So just go on, do a search for the school that you're at, figure out what those start and end times are for the students, and don't go and vote during those times. From what I saw at the advance polls, some lineups when it was busiest at advance polls, looks like it was busiest in the evening. So if you are able to get over and vote during the daytime, sometimes that can be faster than heading out at night. So anyhow, elections.ca has all the information. If you're not sure where to go or what you need to bring with you, elections.ca is where you can find all that information. Speaking of, whoops, I dropped my card. Speaking of school traffic, this is something we've been working on quite a bit this week. We are seeing more people driving their kids to school. There's a number of reasons for that. There's, of course, parents who don't feel comfortable putting their kids on a school bus or an OC bus. There's also some school bus cancellations. I'll talk about that in just a moment. If you are driving your kids to school, one thing you can do to help out is to park a bit further away from the school and walk that last little bit with your student. One of the schools we're having some particularly bad issues at is Demare High School. Challenge with that one is there aren't even a lot of spots nearby where you can park and walk to, but if you go onto Google, look for about a 500-meter radius around the school, and you might find some options. For example, further down Abbott Street towards Tall Tree might be a good place. 500 meters is only about a 5-minute walk or so not too bad. Perhaps park further east on Abbott Street. There's some pathways, some informal pathways across the Trans-Canada Trail. For example, Livery Street, also Putnam and Finsbury in the Westwood neighborhood, some other alternate locations so we can get as much traffic off of Robert Grant and Abbott as possible. The traffic's come to a standstill during the afternoon pickup at Demare. So I'll be meeting on site with the school principal this week, and we'll be looking at other solutions. But all the schools in the community, if you can park a little further away from the school and walk that little bit, that last little bit, it certainly helps. And please, if you are parking when you're picking up your son or daughter at school, make sure you're not blocking a fire hydrant. Make sure you're not blocking driveways. Make sure you are indeed in a legal parking spot. So have a look for those no stopping and no parking signs. They're there for safety and for the flow of people and vehicles as well. Now, on school buses, I do have some good news to share. I think it was last week I was talking about some of the issues and challenges with school bus cancellations. The good news is for Goulburn Middle School, they have rejigged the routes and they're able to cover all of the students there for Goulburn. For South Carleton High School, there were 3 buses that were canceled long-term. 2 of those buses have been reinstated, and I understand there's a driver being trained for the 3rd one. Now, while we're waiting for that 3rd driver to be trained, I've gotten OC Transpo to agree to add service. They've got a stop now from Stittsville at Stittsville Main and Carp Road that'll take you to Richmond just before 7 a.m. in the morning. You can check out my website for all the scheduling details. And we've added an earlier route of the 283 from Richmond at South Carleton home to Stittsville in the afternoon. So if there's anybody affected by cancellation, whether it's a long-term cancellation or a short-term cancellation, students will have an opportunity, have an alternative way to get home via OC Transpo. I've also been working with Councillor Hubley over in Canada South and Councillor Jenner Suds around helping students in Stittsville and Canada who were relying on a school bus to get to Canterbury High School as well as Maryville High School for different programming. Their school buses were canceled. They were taking OC Transpo, but it's often 3 or more transfers to get to those locations. So OC Transpo has added a special route for those students as well. If you are taking OC Transpo, make sure you have a Presto card or cash payment, and you can find schedules and payment information and everything at octranspo.com. All right, so that was a big thing over the last week. I want to tell you about a few things coming up right now. First of all, on Wednesday this week, I'm hosting another Councillor Chat. It's not unlike this video here, except it's a heck of a lot more interactive. You'll have the opportunity to ask me anything about Stittsville, anything that's on your mind, share your comments. So there's information on my website, and I believe on Facebook as well, about the Councillor Chat coming up this Wednesday at 7 p.m. I hope you can join us for that. You can also send questions in advance, glen.gower@ottawa.ca, and we'll do our best to get as many of those answered as possible over the course of the hour. The week after next, on Monday and Tuesday, we're doing a couple of information meetings about our Green Parks pilot. So on Monday evening, we're going to do a meeting for neighbors in the Timbermere area. On Tuesday evening, we're going to do a meeting for neighbors of Stitt Street Park and Rotary Park. About a month ago, just over a month ago, we removed some of the garbage bins from those parks and put up some signage reminding people to, if you carry it in, to carry it out. It's something that's worked in a lot of parks on a provincial level, national level, as well as some other municipalities in Ontario and out west. So we tried it a pilot here. We've gathered some information, gathered some feedback, and want to go back to the community and get some more feedback and ideas before we move forward any more on that. So I'll be posting information about that this weekend. And so those are coming up Monday and Tuesday, the last week of the month, basically. Also, let's see. Okay. Got a lot of updates here. So where do I go first? How about this? Last week, one of our city committees approved a new set of bylaws and rules around the towing industry. We've had a lot of issues in Ottawa with some unscrupulous tow truck operators. I think most tow truck operators are honest and hardworking people, but there's a few that are really taking advantage of people in a crisis when their car might break down at the side of the road or you're involved in a collision. We've set up a licensing framework so that tow truck operators will have to be licensed. They'll also have to charge approved rates for their services so that there's more certainty for residents and more consumer protection for residents. That goes to council for approval next week, and the new rules would come into effect on January 1st. The brand new Roundabout at Robert Grant Avenue and Palladium Drive opened yesterday evening. This is what the construction's been all about on Palladium near the auto park there over the past few weeks. And it's a roundabout that is basically the northernmost segment of Robert Grant Avenue. Robert Grant, of course, will be going from Fernbank to Abbott, where it currently is. It'll head up north to Hazeldean Road. That'll probably be the next phase. Hazeldean Road, then up to Maple Grove. Once it crosses Maple Grove, kind of does an S turn and ends up connecting with Palladium Drive, where that new roundabout is. It's a pretty massive roundabout because it also has to handle some of the traffic after Sens games and concerts at Canadian Tire Centre. So you might want to check it out if you're driving through today. I've got a great aerial photo that I'm going to share on social media sometime this weekend. And thanks to everybody for your patience during that closure. I know it was a bit of a shortcut, a bit of a detour to get around there. We've had some issues in our community with graffiti over the past week or so. I guess you could call it anti-vaccine graffiti, sometimes with a bit of a hate or anti-Semitic flavor to it, which is really disappointing and completely unacceptable. I want to say a big thank you to residents who have been calling this into 311 and contacting my office about it. If you do see any graffiti, whether it's whether it's on a park structure, whether it's on a mailbox or garbage can, any graffiti that you see in the community, please call 311. That is the best way to get staff dispatched ASAP. This is particularly important after hours and on weekends when my email isn't monitored as frequently. If there is hate messages, racism, homophobic elements of that graffiti, often police will open a case and investigate it as a hate crime as well. It's something we take very seriously and obviously has no place in our community. So again, call 311, and thanks to residents who are being our eyes out in the community and being really vigilant about this. On my website, there's a couple of information pages I wanted to highlight. One is we shared a list of local doctors and clinics. I've talked about this before. I know that a lot of people are having a challenge finding family doctors. That's a big concern for me. I'm not aware of any local doctors who are accepting new patients, but I wanted to put a list up so at least you knew who the doctors are and a list of clinics. I really advise people to call in advance. With the pandemic, a lot of the clinics have reduced their hours or changed how they work in terms of what walk-in actually means. But I've had a few positive comments from residents about that list, so thank you. Obviously, we're going to keep talking about this because family doctors are incredibly important to the overall health of our community. And you know, one thing we heard from Ottawa Public Health, one of the barriers for some people who are vaccine hesitant is they say they don't have a family doctor they can trust. So I think that's another good illustration of how crucial family doctors are to the overall well-being of our community. And if you are a doctor who's watching this, we have at least 2 locations in Stittsville, 2 landlords who have space that they've built with clinics and doctors in mind, and they have been searching for quite a while now for doctors to fill that space. So if that's you, or if you know a doctor, perhaps a family member or a friend, Stittsville would love to welcome you into this community. Email me for more information. I'd be happy to put you in touch. We set up a new website, glengower.ca/Bell. This is an information page about all of the Bell utility work going on in our community. Right now there's 4 active communities where Bell is doing fiber optic installation. And we're going to keep this updated about every week or every 2 weeks with the latest timelines and schedule. It also has all the contact information from companies like Telecon and Acon and the other contractors that are doing the work on behalf of Bell. So that's glengower.ca/Bell. And I guess in a way it's a companion to a page we set up a couple weeks ago, glengower.ca/blasting, which will be a list of all of the blasting activities happening in and around Stittsville. Busy week coming up. We've got the election on Monday. Also on Monday, I'm attending the Transit Commission, the OC Transpo Transit Commission, where we'll be reviewing the recent mechanical failures on the trains from back in August. We'll be looking at what the current ridership levels are at. It's always a big conversation, Transit Committee, during the pandemic, because we are seeing the modes of travel and how people are commuting is shifting. So looking forward to that. And then on Monday afternoon, I'll be participating in the Board of Health meeting, getting an update from Dr. Vera Etches on the latest with COVID-19. And I believe we're also reviewing some initiatives and plans around mental health recovery. That's incredibly important. We have City Council on Wednesday, and we have Planning Committee on Thursday, so it's always a busy week. Really, I want to say thank you to my team, to Amélie, Gabby, Catherine, and Jordan. They have been super hard at work, talking to lots of residents, solving lots of problems, and just trying to help people out. And they've been working super hard over the past few weeks. We've been really ramped up with school coming back here in September. Okay, that was a lot of updates. I hope you have a great weekend. It looks like a nice sunny day today. Please get out and explore your community. I see there's a few garage sales starting up today, which is great. I'm going to be heading to the Stittsville Muslim Association potluck picnic this afternoon, late afternoon at Walter Baker Park over at Terry Fox and Hazeldean Road. So I'm really looking forward to that. Hope to see some of you there. Take care. Bye.